Hello everybody, this is Toysareruss, and for this third-party figure showcase and review, we're going to be looking at Fans Toys Viper, which is of course a masterpiece scale version of Generation 1 Fireflight. So we're going to have a quick look at him in both of his modes, help you decide how you want to display him. I'm going to bring in some other masterpiece figures just to give you an idea of his scale and size and see how he displays. And of course we're going to have a look at the entire contents of the packaging. So as I put this little guy back, we'll bring him back in a minute. I need to remind anybody who's not subscribed to the channel, if you'd like to hit that subscribe button for me now, please. And also to thank Shozy, because that's where this figure came from. So as I just move him quickly out of the way, I want to show you the packaging, because again it's quite nice. You can clearly tell that it's Generation 1 Fireflight, but for those of you who are unaware, Fans Toys is a company not licensed by Hasbro or Takara because their figures transform, so they can't call them by their proper names. The box is huge. Inside the box it comes in a polystyrene case like that. This is basically a direct copy of the old Takara figures where they used to put the numbers on the same on the polystyrene insert, so that's a good little, I suppose it's a good knockoff or a copy of that. There is a blaster which splits into two. I'll show you that in a second. In fact, I'll get rid of this. He does come obviously with his instructions, which again is a book because it's a third-party masterpiece. He's got a collector's card and he's got a different head faceplate expression as well. So funny enough, when I just took him out of the box, just to let you know, there was some paper around these sides. One of the legs was sort of hanging off. I presume it's obviously going to be for some form of the transformation process. It was hanging near enough like that, to be honest. I had to clip this in, and I'm not too sure. I've checked at the back of the books. I presume we can fold these over, but I don't know if you'd want to. It doesn't seem to look like that. I presume everything is just going to be folded all up and away. Now you can clearly tell, again, it's funny actually, because it's just from the back, it's definitely just a smaller scaled down version of the Generation 1 figure, but of course it is a lot more articulated and a lot more detailed. Right, the figure itself, and I've been speaking to a lot of friends, and funny enough, this has been lent to me by Adam, one of my subscribers. And again, for people who know this channel or are new to the channel, you won't know, I've only been reviewing third-party figures for just over a year, and to be honest, my experience of Fans Toys is pretty good. To be honest, they all seem to be okay, but what I get from the general consensus of the fandom is that they're getting worse, which what I think people are saying with that is that everything just seems to be really basic. And what I mean by that is, if I was to bring up masterpiece Soundwave, who's been around for ages, and again, this is probably one of the most basic masterpiece figures. This looks, pretty much the same. There's not much going on. It's just, there's not much extra detail. I'm not saying it needs loads and loads of detail, but I've got a Generation 1 figure in front of me there with probably more molded detail, even though you can't really see it. And of course, don't get me wrong, we're not talking about the same articulation, but there's more molding detail in the legs and arms of the Generation 1 figure than there is with this. It just is very, very, plain. Pretty much a bit like Soundwave was, but of course Soundwave, you're talking well over 10 years ago, whereas if you're talking about some other third-party company figures, okay, this is completely all gold, but the detail in these figures is insane. This is a Kang Toys gold take on I was going to say Huge Rhino, which is of course his real name, Headstrong. Headstrong, of course, from the Predacons. And then, even though this isn't perhaps the greatest figure, but it is an official Takara one, it is the new Optimus Prime. And I know this is probably again a bad example because it is very basic, because of course it is based on the toy, but I've seen, and I've already reviewed a couple of Fans Toys figures, which that gives you an idea of height as well, by the way, have had a lot more detail on it. And that's one of the things that a couple of people were indeed saying about this particular figure. However, I don't want to be too negative about it, because to me it still looks good. As I say, from my experience moving on to the masterpiece, it still does look good. The head is fully articulate, as you'd expect. That's really stiff. It'll look up and down as well. Funnily enough, my faceplate had come off as well in transition, in shipping, or whatever you want to call it. So I found it, I had to click it back on like so. So it was as simple as that. The arms will go out to the side. They will go all the way around. They don't sound like they're on ratchets. They seem to be moving really smooth. There's a shoulder swivel. There's a bicep swivel. There's a wrist swivel. Your fingers are articulated down and on the knuckles as well. Probably the most articulated, or as articulated as you could get for the fingers. You wouldn't need them to be any more articulated than that. there's not, no, there's definitely not. I don't want to break this. That is not a waist swivel by the looks of this. No, there is definitely no waist swivel there at all. It looks to me like the hips are moving. Yeah, there's a hip swivel, and there's the hips on ratchets, and again they go back until they hit that part there, but there's no waist swivel. That's a bit surprising for a masterpiece scale figure. Obviously maybe it's due to transformation, we'll find that out in a bit. There is a knee bend on a ratchet, and there is an ankle tilt, toe tilt, rock, heel. I think that's pretty much it. Maybe something else falls out in here, not too sure, but to be fair, as I say, it's articulated as you'd expect it to be for a masterpiece figure. This is nice translucent plastic there. Some people don't like translucent plastic. I do. To be fair, I think it can really strike up a figure. Now, the other thing that I've noticed on this, which again is different to Hasbro and Takara, this is metal, this is die cast, and I can tell that straight away. With the Bone Crusher figure I reviewed very recently as well, I couldn't really find any metal or die cast on that apart from in the joints, whereas it's nice to have actual still die cast parts on just, you know, normal limbs, which again is exactly what the old masterpiece figures used to have as well. So the gun, as it looks like here, is what I would call pretty much industry standard for the, let's have a look at it, see if I can pop it in. It should go in, but I always struggle with these, especially reaching around a camera. It should fit in there. Yes, it has. It's fit in there, no problem. But I've also noticed in the instructions as well, I think this is pretty cool, to be honest. I like the idea of this, the fact that you could split it into two. So what you'd have to do, this one would still go in any hand you want it to, so I'll put it in this one just for a change. This will go in there, so that one will fit in via its normal, yep, like that. And then the other one, because of course there's no handle, it will fit in, because the fingers are so super articulated. If we bend that round to just the knuckle, we can just pop the magazine in there, and it should, yeah, there you go. And I think that looks pretty cool, to be fair. And it's, you know, I know these are more aimed at adults than kids, but it's still nice for them to have some sort of play factor, and the fact that you can do something that little bit quirky or slightly different with it. To be honest, the robot mode, as I say, I mean, I'm not one of these overly picky collectors or reviewers. It looks great to me. Again, I could perhaps see what people are saying, that it is quite bland or quite bad, but it, to me it still looks great. And as I say, it's just a little surprise that even if they just perhaps put some little marks in, I'm not too sure, maybe I'm asking too much, or maybe this is, I'm just listening to what the people have been saying and looking at a few pictures. But there you go, that is his robot mode. We're going to come right back and we're going to have a look at him in his alternate mode. These are die cast as well by the looks of it. Yep, they feel, oh no, they're not, they just feel really cold. I'll find all the die cast parts and I'll let you know. But yeah, let's have a look at him in his jet. Okay then, so here he is in his alternate mode. And again, this is, I suppose, where you can A, really tell it's a masterpiece, and B, you see what you get, what you're paying for with this. To be honest, this is really, really nice. And as I mentioned before, in the robot mode, it is really weighty. The die cast parts I've found to be the feet, some parts here around the front on the chest, and of course a lot of the main articulation points are metal, obviously to keep their durability up. I'm sure you can tell, or hopefully you can tell, that it just looks good. The sheen on it is fantastic. It fits together really well as well, to be honest. The transformation process wasn't too overcomplicated. Should be able to get a video up for you guys doing a tutorial, because as I say, it didn't take me half a day like some of the other figures do, and again, nobody wants to watch that or see that. So let's have a look at it. So this is a legitimate cockpit. Can I open it up? I'm sure you can. Yep, there you go. There's even detail there on the back of the seat that lifts up. Nice lovely translucent plastic. The wings, you can of course position these however you want. I'm pretty sure that in fact it is, that's how the G1 figure goes, with that just slight little lift there, but that gives you an idea, oh, knocking it over, of just how much bigger it is. It's a shame I don't have the Fans Toys jets on me anymore, because it would have been interesting to see, sorry, the Fans Hobby jets on me anymore. It would have been interesting to see just how big they are compared to them. You can also of course move these tail fins back as well. The boosters as well, you can move around quite a bit, and if I lift this, which way is it going to go? Yeah, if I lift this way up, there is some nice landing gear there. There is some other landing gear here, Only problem with these, and that's not with these, that's with pretty much all. I'm saying that, but I've actually managed to get myself some now. I don't know, these is very, very blunt tweezers, but well, that's what I was going to say, is a lot of the problem with these masterpiece figures is you need little things like this because they're just so intricate. Right, let's take this, lift it up and see what it looks like with the landing gear. I've not done this yet before, you can obviously tell because it is very, very stiff. There we go, and of course I don't want to damage or scratch it. So there's the landing gear all out. It works, that's all. That's the most important thing, it works. And it rolls, yes, they all roll neatly as well. And of course I've got the gun still separated from the first segment. And the brilliant thing about this is, yep, you can locate this with the landing gear up by the looks of it. Yep, one either side. Yeah, there we go, one either side on each wing. Can I fit it with the landing gear up? Yes, you can. You can still attach these with the landing gear up. Now, to be honest, that is not a look I've ever seen before, but it works. Well, not with Fireflight anyway, of course, because this is the only Fireflight I've got, and you couldn't do any of that whatsoever. But it does look good. And again, it's just another brilliant little part where I thought it was great that they split the gun up, not only for the bit of polystyrene stuck in the end there, but I think obviously for the alternate mode as well, it makes it really work. Now it would be interesting to see, I presume he's going to combine, but of course I don't have any of the others at the moment, but I definitely would be interested to see if it did combine. I'd be quite surprised to see how big it is. As I say, there's not really much more to show you on this. I just really wanted to, I suppose, get across the appreciation for how it's all come together. There's quite a few panels, but nowhere near as many as, you know, as I've mentioned this before on this channel, I do reviews on the third-party legends as well, and some of the Magic Square figures, etc. They're just too overly complicated, whereas with this, it's not. It's clever. It's a clever transformation rather than an overcomplicated one. You can probably tell, though, let's be honest, that the legs are in there and the arms are in the chest, so they've just managed to conceal them up pretty well. I don't know if it's going to be blast effect compatible because they're completely different. I don't know if Fans Toys has their own range of them, but to be honest, there's not much more to say about this. I like the fact as well that all of the, you know, the detail on it, they're all tamper-graphed on or they're already printed on, etc. You don't need to worry about applying any stickers with anything. I think that's with most toys though, to be honest, but again, they haven't gone too crazy with them. Funnily enough, just remembered, yeah, the Fans Hobby ones you do have to apply the stickers to, but yeah, with this, to be honest, great figure. Impressed with it. Robot mode is okay. Jet mode makes up for how plain the robot is, but it's still you know, Fireflight to me, and if that's what they're going for, that's exactly what he looks like. So there you go. This is a much improved yeah, much bigger, supersized version of this little dude here. There you go. Look, it's the gun's near enough as big as the original one, but there you go, guys. No more to say about it. That is Fans Toys. This is their take on Fireflight, and I believe he's called Viper. There we go. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. Take care.